What the heck is my hair right now? I really need to get it cut. But we have a Q&A to do. I've done Q&As before, but I've never done one on this channel. So I pulled some questions from Instagram. I'm gonna go ahead and answer them for you guys right here while I'm drinking my morning coffee. It is 4:23 a.m. It's still hot. All right, first question here. Ready for some new goals to tackle, including new challenges in life, martial arts, etc. For some of you who may be new to my content, and I haven't done this on this channel, but in the past I've done a lot of martial arts. And that is absolutely something I want to go back to eventually. Especially with my daughter, I really want her to grow up being surrounded by martial arts the way I was. I started Taekwondo at a very young age, and I contributed to a lot of my personal development, even my ability to speak to others. I mean, there was a time in which I was very, very uncomfortable speaking on camera or speaking to other people face to face, and I believe Taekwondo helped me a lot with that. So it's not just about the physical development, the ability to beat somebody up, but the ability to better communicate with other humans, and stuff like that. Plus, it's just super fun. I want my daughter to be able to kick somebody's ass if she needs to. With regards to the rest of the question, new challenges in life? Life is always challenging. I think in terms of big goals, there is something big coming up that I want you guys to know about so that we can kind of prepare for it a little bit together, but it's going to be a long process. So I'll get to that in a little bit. How is the dad life going? It's going amazing. I really appreciate you asking. It's definitely the most difficult thing that I've ever done. But with regards to the challenge to reward ratio, this is the highest amount of joy that I've ever been able to give myself with something. Yeah, all the hardships are tough. I mean, when you have a child, you lose a lot. You lose a lot of, not yourself. I hesitate to say you lose a bit of yourself, but there's definitely something to be said about the less free time, the less flexibility in routine, the less time you can spend with friends. It's a hard job, and it's 24/7, especially for the mother. And I'm very, very thankful that I have a wife that is as supporting and as loving as I do, because I could not do this without her. Being a father is amazing. I highly recommend it to anyone who is in the financial position to be able to support a family. Do it. Absolutely do it. But that's just me. Do what you want. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized gorillas or one gorilla-sized duck? That's a really interesting question. I've heard others like this before. 100 duck-sized gorillas, that's a lot of little gorillas. And I feel like in terms of the ability of the gorilla to like rip my limbs off or just like tear me apart, I feel like the little duck-sized gorillas would probably be better at that than in one gorilla-sized duck. I'm looking it up here. Yeah, so the question would be, does their strength scale to their size? I feel if that's the case, then I would take the gorilla-sized duck 100%. Because I only got to put my focus into one giant animal. The giant duck is going to be able to mess me up a little bit with that beak, but that's really the only thing I have to worry about. The gorillas, on the other hand, they would all be biting. All of them. That would be horrifying, especially if they're aggravated and trying to kill me. I think the gorilla-sized duck is the way to go in this question. I have skinny fat. What are some effective techniques to build muscle and lose fat together? So there's some debate about this one. A lot of people will sway towards the side of fat loss first and then muscle gain, just so you can kind of build from a point in which you don't really have to cut afterwards. You can just kind of like lose all the fat and then slowly build up the muscle. There's another camp of people that recommend to bulk first and gain a whole bunch of muscle and then lose all the fat when you're done. But if you're a beginner, I highly recommend to try to do both. A lot of the clients that I work with in person, that's what happens unintentionally, just because you introduce a new stimulus. A lot of people don't train, so if you come into this from the position of not training super heavy, or maybe you haven't trained in a long time, you can absolutely gain fat and lose muscle at the same time. Focus on heavy compound lifts and progressive overloading those over time. Increase your protein intake and keep your total calories in check somewhat. It doesn't have to be something you track necessarily, but just kind of be mindful of it. And then over time, you will notice a decrease in muscle gain and a decrease in fat loss. And when you hit a plateau, that's when you can decide, all right, I want to do a dedicated fat loss phase or a dedicated muscle gain phase. And you can focus on one or the other. But for the time being, definitely try to do both. If you want more specifics about what to do with your training and nutrition, shoot me a DM. We can talk more in depth about it. What's a panini?
What's a panini?
A panini's a sandwich.
Well, then why did you call it a panini?
Where is the gym you work at located? I work at the Anytime Fitness in Ellisville, Indiana. It's a joy. You should come by and we'll train in person. Now, after I was done filming in the morning, I noticed that another question came up on my Instagram, and it is, how do I get bigger arms? So a big point that I want to make that I've been thinking a lot about lately is the fact that most of the time when people train arms or when they want to grow their arms bigger, they don't necessarily treat their arms like any other body part. They might be an afterthought or an accessory to throw at the end of a heavier session. So like, let's say we're doing bench press. We hit our main sets of bench, we go really, really heavy, we push super hard, we focus on progressive overload, and we focus on getting a pump and squeezing the muscle. Then after that, you do your other accessories for chest, triceps, and shoulders. Then maybe you do 3 sets of some curls. So the point I want to make here is if you want to grow bigger arms, you have to treat them like a priority. Not saying that everyone has to hit a specific arm day, but you might go in and before you do your heavier work, you hit your basics. That's going to be your barbell curls, your alternating dumbbell curls, the heavy bicep exercises that are going to give you the most bang for your buck. In a future video, I'll talk more specifically about how I would go about structuring this programming for an arm day. But for now, I'm just gonna give you that. What I wanna get to that I alluded to a little bit earlier with regard to big plans is my next bodybuilding competition. I don't have a set date for this, but as of right now, I am in a calorie deficit and I am losing fat. I started this whole thing at about 20% body fat, and my goal is to get down to about 10%. Now the goal here is to get within shooting distance of a show, because I obviously don't want to be going into a competition prep with a newborn. But whenever we feel that we're in the position to support that kind of stress and financially we're in a good place and everything kind of aligns, I'm gonna make a push for my second bodybuilding show. And I'm very, very excited to show you guys that, to take you along that journey. I'm gonna do something very similar to what I did with my first show with regards to the weekly prep leading into it and documenting all that for you guys. So I will let you know when that is coming. It might not be for a little while. I'm not sure, like I said, when that's gonna be, but it is definitely on the horizon. Thanks everybody so much for listening to this first Q&A. If you want to submit a question for the next one, you can stay tuned on my Instagram. I'll be posting Ask Me Anythings once a week, and you can ask any question you want to there. Hope everybody's having a better hair day than me today. Go drink your coffee, hit your workout, and have an amazing day.